And now for our feature presentation.
I love movies. Gosh, I love movies.
Alrighty, we are back for yet another Cinema Smackdown. Once again, I'm joined by my co-host Scott Walker. Scott, thanks for coming out.
And I'm joined by Fraser Moore. Thanks for coming out.
Yay, the weirdo with the beardo. That's how we'll... I'm not selling myself very well in this, but thanks guys for tuning in for yet another podcast. We are this time in the Barrie Uncovered office, sitting on a leather couch. There's a couple of cameras pointed at us. At some point, someone's taking their pants off. I don't know how. Anyway, no.
Someone's getting cast into production tonight.
Yes. This is how you make the big bucks.
This is show business.
Thanks for tuning back in, guys. This time we are here to talk about, Scott, which movie's on the docket?
Oh, and just the 1992 classic Encino Man.
Recently, two high school students unearthed a prehistoric man in their own backyard.
This guy's our ticket to fame and popularity. All we gotta do is get him enrolled in school, and he'll help us become popular.
He's a looker.
Ooh. This is the part where, like, Stu's gonna cue up some, like, wicked sounds from it, and just, like, Pauly Shore making all his little, like, aha sounds and stuff.
Hank and I are cruising the mountain, bro, and we figure we's a little juice.
Scott, tell me about how Encino Man first rolled into your life.
Well, I had a friend who I no longer, I'm not friends with him anymore, who was just huge into Pauly Shore when I was younger. Realistically, as far as Pauly Shore is concerned, I really am only really like a fan of Jury Duty, because I understand the plight of somebody who's like living with their parents and being like, I like Jeopardy, like, and it's every single Pauly Shore character is into Jeopardy. I don't know if you know that. That's like a occurring thing, but like, so Encino Man's like probably, if I had to rank the Pauly Shore movies, it probably goes Jury Duty, Encino Man, then Son-in-Law, and then In the Army Now isn't even fourth or fifth. It
sounded like you were fighting for like which one is going to be the pretzel in the party of trail mix there. Like, what's the shit? That's one that everybody avoids.
Oh, you don't like the pretzels? See, I'm all about the Ringolos.
No, you know what?
That's my favorite.
That's the problem with pretzels is pretzels are delicious on their own, and then you put them in with other things, and they instantly become last place.
Oh, they become the black sheep.
Yeah,
no doubt. So Encino Man is it's always been a movie that I've been aware of, but even when I liked Pauly Shore movies, it wasn't on top of the list. There's so much about this movie that doesn't make sense. Like Pauly Shore dresses like white Jimi Hendrix. He's somehow like has the most personality of anybody at this school, and yet he's a total loser for whatever reason, just because he hangs out with Sean Astin. Like, he rides a Vespa with like a boombox on the back. He's got, every time he talks to anybody outside of high school, they think he's really cool. But for whatever reason, as soon as he hangs out with Sean Astin, he's a major loser Zondweeby, bro.
Potatoes.
Yeah, there was like, if anything, this whole movie, along with like, I even think of like movies like Beverly Hillbillies, in terms of introducing you to like what would sort of like high school in California have been like. And all I can say is everyone was a huge douche canoe. You know, like it was just sort of like, oh, like I'm popular and I beat people up and like I have to date the babe kind of thing.
Oh, like the main bad dude in the movie, Matt, who's just all spiked hair and nose. Like he was the only character, like Pauly Shore's running around calling everyone, oh, you're right in your beak, bro. Like he had a beak. And and I don't know about you, we're Canadian. Have you ever hung out at a hockey arena, like for shits and gigs? Like, no, that's paid ice time. Like, there's either kids playing hockey, or like you can't just like, it looked like it was not even like it was a free skate. Like people were playing a game of like pick it up hockey. I don't know. I thought it was super. Like for California, that's got to be weird.
I don't know how the rules work in LA because this movie has so many things about it that just sort of defy the rules. Like we were talking about this before the show. Is for anybody who needs like the Cole's notes on Encino Man before I watch it, it's literally two guys at the end of their high school career. One of them is digging a pool in his backyard, which I thought was hilarious.
As you do, right?
Like, just
always dig a pool.
No permits, and like the average family from Encino, California is like, bro, do it. Just have at her. Like, no questions asked.
That's the biggest problem. Is there's not any. He would absolutely have to call the city, electrical, plumbing. If it was current, you'd have to worry about not Wi-Fi, but like FiOS and like internet cables and stuff.
Yeah, just dig a pool in your backyard. And sure enough, Sean Astin's character comes across a block of ice, and in said block of ice is Brendan Fraser's character, Link, who is a caveman from, what do they even say, like 10,000 years ago? Like,
well, and that's the thing. Because Pauly Shore is so good at Jeopardy, and this is what blows my mind. First they find Link's bowl. They find the bowl, which to me, that is more indicative of Pauly Shore's character being the most non-marijuana smoking stoner of all time. Is he's like, oh, well, I know a lot about bowls, ha 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 ha. But like, no, he said it from like the Meso era.
yeah, it's...
I don't know. To be honest, it didn't sound like a legitimate era from the Ice Age. It sounded made up.
And just like, oh yeah, I know what that is. Like, I've made a major archaeological discovery. That's greasy, bro. Greasy.
Greasy. And I know all this because I watch a lot of Jeopardy!
Yeah.
Ow! Buddy.
And then as the story progresses, obviously they find this block of ice. They store it in their garage. The ice block melts because this is my favorite part. Is if anybody isn't familiar with sort of the climate in California, sort of like I would say most of the year, tepid would be sort of my best description of it.
I think it's also known as the place where everyone wants to move to because the weather's so nice.
Yeah, like all the time. And funny enough, they decide to store said Iceman in their garage, and at the same time have, 4 or 5 space heaters plugged in?
Oh, and they moved 2 tons of ice. They explain how they got it out of the hole. They don't explain how they got it into the garage. And then it's just on wood horses, on the wooden blocks.
Yeah, and just, just for anybody who's trying to figure out exactly, well, maybe it was during the colder season. What does it take place 3 weeks before prom?
Yeah, that's
so
right before
I'm gonna say okay, so let's just let's be generous here. Let's say it takes place at the end of April, beginning of May in California. These guys have 5 space heaters on full blast. Scott, we live in Barrie. I think it was minus 17 the other day, and I own 1 space heater. So I'm a little miffed.
They probably had to go to everybody in their neighborhood. Be like, hey, do you guys have a space heater? I'm like, yeah. And they probably 9 times out of 10, no, because we live in California.
Yeah, and I think about this movie and sort of like the time period that this stuff like really starts coming about. Like, along with this and just like, Brendan Fraser's career with seeing like movies like Airheads and other stuff that sort of play on sort of that California culture. The funny part is I decided to watch a couple of other caveman movies.
And you said caveman movies in the car. What other caveman movies are there?
Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know, there was a movie called The Caveman from 1980, and I shit you not, it features Ringo Starr as the caveman.
Ringo Starr, caveman. They don't call it the Stone Age for nothing.
Oh, okay, no. Sorry, I thought you were talking about a different movie.
And I watched that one first and was oh my god, what a flaming dumpster that one was. Like, it's terrible. And then afterwards, I watched, there's a movie called Iceman.
Iceman, that's the one that I thought you were talking about.
That one was more like, almost like a drama. Like, they try to set it up as like, oh, like we're thawing the body because the body would be dead, but they're like, oh, maybe he ate this flower that allows for like less cellular degeneration. They almost sell it like it's a Michael Crichton novel, where they're trying, like Jurassic Park is like, a park with dinosaurs, but they got to make it like follow science fiction to at least the part where it's somewhat believable. And
dandelions are the cure for freezing.
Yeah, and then I watched Encino Man and was just like, oh, there's none of that. There's just none of that.
Oh no, he's not even wearing the same thing that he was He was wearing like a shawl when he came out of the cold, and he wrapped her around it, but he still had an under jacket on. And then when he comes out and he's frozen, he doesn't even have that. So they can't even follow.
Yeah, like the cave-in was made completely of ice.
Yes, and also, where's the cave?
Yeah, there's a lot of...
Because you can actually see the cave painting up alongside the side of the pool when he's digging the pool.
Yeah.
That's true. So where's the top of the cave, though? Because the top of the cave caved in on him.
Oh, see, well then that's the floor of the pool. It makes perfect sense.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go. That's the floor of the pool.
And to make even further sense with it, I love the fact that it was like, so that that 100% it's a caveman. Brendan Fraser's character goes around the house and just like leaves cave painting like hand marks around, and at the end of the movie,
you hope all of that was mud.
Yeah,
you really do.
Spoiler alert for the end of the movie when it turns out that Brendan Fraser's cave woman, cave gal. I don't know. That really is the perfect ending for this movie because it's not a very good ending. Oh, it's terrible. But
it's a terrible. It's a perfect ending to a terrible. No, terrible perfect ending. A terribly perfect ending. There you go.
Yeah, but when you look at like sort of like so he left like handprints and like drawing of like, you know, mammoths and stuff like that. When she thaws out, there's literally like boob prints on the wall. Like at no point did I, when I rewatched it, just see like, you know, Brendan Fraser had left like a mushroom stamp on the wall. Like, you know, just like, oh, and these are my balls. Like, so.
I know, and he also has like the most fully functional loincloth of a person ever. Like he's, in the first minute he's on screen, he's fully crouched and nothing's hitting dirt. Yeah. I mean, he's I mean, if you do the average guy, if you do the Spider-Man stance, 1/3 of us are hitting dirt, at least with balls. Yeah. And he's not. And also, I love that I'm too sexy montage of getting him clean.
I figure he'd just come out of the ice, so there was some serious shrinkage going on. You know, you know, it's like when George is like, I just got out of the pool in Seinfeld. You kind of got to give him a little.
I just got out of the ice.
I was in the pool. I was in the pool.
Well, and also he's like the least like I understand that he has to look just enough like a Neanderthal to be believable. Which is a very insulting thing for someone to say, like when we're casting, like, all right, we need to find somebody that's got a very furrowed brow, who doesn't look intelligent, who looks like they can barely speak, like grunts, and you know, that's their way that they're going to be talking. That's a very insulting way to cast somebody. But at the same time, like, he so doesn't look like a caveman. Like he has even after they bathe him, he has dreads. Who comes out of a bathtub with dreads? It doesn't make any sense. See? And also, just. He's completely hairless. He's got like no hair on him.
My favorite part is I never even, the first time I watched that movie, even questioned that. But when I look back on it, imagine just being like Brendan Fraser's agent trying to sell him, just like, dude, I've got you a part in a movie where they're looking for you to play a super athletic caveman who's just been thawed out after like X number of thousands of years. Like, oh, sweet. So they're gonna give me like prosthetics on my face, and he just went, no.
Do you not know what you look like?
What we're gonna do is we're gonna give you dreads and a loincloth and cover you in mud. So, you know, like, but at the same time, that's now still part of Brendan Fraser's career, and I'm still like, yo, that's still not even his worst movie.
No, I'd like to think Strange Wilderness is his worst movie, the one where he's like, the animals are fighting him. I mean, realistically, Brendan Fraser, at a certain point, he had a good career. The Mummy, he was a top-billed action star. Yeah. And I still am not really clear about what happened to him, about why he just kind of disappeared. I think there's something shady happened. Like, I think he probably pissed off the wrong person.
Yeah, or maybe,
he's difficult to work with.
You never know, but it's even in stuff like that where I watched it. It's like I watched Encino Man and was just like, you know, younger me was like, believable. And then George of the Jungle comes out and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Brendan Fraser in a loincloth? No, I'm not buying this at all.
And he's barely talking, and somehow he's got the same amount of dialogue as he did in the other one, and it's still
it's just
that's
like
so funny. I didn't realize George of the Jungle pretty much is him. It's not the same movie, but it's him basically being
it's Tarzan and Encino Man.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah,
right. And even there's a point where you're sitting there just going, like, seriously, why does George of the Jungle continually refer to himself in third person? You know, Encino Man picked up a little faster than that.
Yeah. But, that's the thing. Pauly Shore teaches this kid English in a day.
Today, buddy, we're going to discuss grindage. Having filled the furnace, packed the cheeks, and stuffed the gills.
Like, he comes back from the fucking Hasty Market, and he's like, "We's grindage, boff, Betty." And it's like, that's more than like a 5-year-old could learn. Like, to me, one of the most annoying parts of this movie is, like, by definition, cavemen had less, like, everything about us is more evolved. Speech patterns, balance, coordination, and everything about Link is superhuman. Like, I understand that he would be stronger. Like, the most irritating part of this movie is when he doesn't knock out Matt or Mark or whatever. He's a caveman. As soon as somebody would enter his personal space, he'd grab them by the throat and crush them by the windpipe. And then they were like, hey, bro, like, cavemen didn't fight for popularity. It's like, no, but he did fight for mates and for dominance. That's Guys do, like, don't tell me two 14-year-olds buffing chests in the locker room won't, they fight? Why wouldn't a caveman fight? It was infuriating watching this today.
And even when you go back and watch this movie, it's like little things that you're just like, oh man, what would like 2000s us say about this movie, in the sense that like when Brendan Fraser's character, I should just call him Link, if anybody's wondering what his name is, first arrives at the school, he literally like just like and just runs up to this girl and starts sniffing her hair and grabbing her, and she's she's like, I am all for this.
He literally has his hands about 3/4 of an inch from her boobs. Yeah. And then Pauly's like, he likes your cones, bro. And then she walks away, and then she's like, he's mine.
Yeah.
that walking date rapist who basically had a hard-on and was about to push him up against the wall, he's mine. And then the second time he sees her, he just picks her up and carries her. And she's fine with that.
And or even that, the same chick in the beginning when they're trying to explain in the classroom what like Cro-Magnon man is, and she's just like, oh yeah, like they pull down the poster, you know, of like, you know, kind of like the evolution of man, you know, like the monkey turning into the cave dude with a spear, and she's like, oh, I think he's pretty hot, I date him, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, that literally to me is like the precursor to everyone who fell in love with an anime character.
Well, no, to me, that's almost precursor to that girl's like, well, no, I have a boyfriend. Oh, oh, what does he do? Well, no, he's on death row. I write to him.
His handwriting's really improved over the last 6 months.
And you know what's funny, though? Because this is a lot of first movies for a lot of people. It's Brendan Fraser's first movie. It's that girl that you're talking about. That's Deb from Empire Records. Oh, yeah. You don't recognize her because she's got the shaved head. And it's Rose McGowan's first movie.
Yeah, I saw her in the credits there too for that. But
and I'm always like, I always think it's Christine Ricci for like a split set. I always mix her and Rose McGowan up because I'm an idiot.
Well, and even like I think back to like, you know, like even when you say like, oh, this dates me kind of thing, but like you think about people just being like, oh, Sean Astin, you know, from Lord of the Rings, and then people are like, you know, before that it was the Goonies, and I'm like, no, you got it out of order. Before that it was From Rudy. And then before that, it was from Encino Man. And then there's like that, I think, 7 years where he doesn't do anything between Encino Man and Goonies.
Well, I think he was just growing up.
He was just growing pains.
As long as we got each other.
Yeah, this, you know, and even like, again, like I throw back to the parents just being like, just so super cool. Like,
oh my God, I wish I had parents that put up with this much shit. Like there's points at the table when Link is just acting like a dog. Like he's eating dog kibble, which is Cookie Crisp, by the way. If you zoom in really quick, you can see that it's Cookie Crisp here. Like I can't even have my elbows on the table without my parents being like, "Are you kidding me? In this house?"
You raised in a barn? No, you weren't, because I'm your dad.
Which my favorite part of the interactions with the parents though is, I think this might have been where I learned how to gaslight my parents, because like I have older parents. Like I'm 29 now, my dad is 68 and my mom's turning 67. So like I can just get away with like, oh no, I told you last week that I was gonna do this. So the fact that he was like, I told you that there would be a completely there would be another human being in this house and you didn't. I love the fact that he was like, you know, I tell you guys so much and you never listen.
And what did they say that they were trying to sell him as like his name was like
Linkovich Chomovsky.
Yeah, and it was he from Latvia or
Estonia?
To me, that's like the precursor to like the whole thing with Borat. You just say you're from another country and then people let you get away with fucking anything. So yeah, there was just points where it was just like him just sitting there, you know, scarfing stuff down, and the parents were just like, so like, tell us more about your home country.
What about your culture? You must do things differently.
Oh, he doesn't speak very good English, you know. So yeah, the whole, you know, again, we're here to talk about terrible movies or just lay a smackdown on stuff because it's funny when this stuff came out, like it was received, I won't say critically, but like. There was a lot of people who just don't ask questions about it being a terrible movie. They're like, it fits the culture and the time. Like any more than I remember my parents just thinking it was so silly with like Ninja Turtles, which we've talked about before, and words like gnarly and cowabunga and tubular. And then this movie is that times a million. Yeah. Like just like even the way Pauly Shore says stuff, like when they whip out the lighter and he's just like, haha, flamage.
Search your melon, bro. Like,
yeah. It's so greasy, and it's just like, we should teach him. He's like, nah, man, we should get him wheezy. You know?
It's the fact that it doesn't make any sense how much, and like everything about Pauly Shore in this movie only makes sense when you put marijuana in the equation. The way he dresses, the way he talks, the way he acts.
His name is Stoney.
His name is Stoney, for fuck's sakes. All of it doesn't make any sense unless you put marijuana. Like, I got stoned to watch this movie. And I'm watching it, I'm like, none of this makes sense. And even when he says nugs, and I'm like, oh, so he's talking about weed. No, nugs means boobs. And I'm like, what? So like, anytime he means, he's like, oh, all you care about is nugs, chillin', and grindage. He's talking about chicks hanging out and food.
See, I thought it was nugs like chicken nuggets when I was a kid, and then when it was nugs when I watched it earlier this week, I'm like, oh, like, no, he totally blazes. Like, he's talking about weed nugs.
Like, does he? I swear, they do get stoned in Biodome, do they not?
They have, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
There is I'm like 60, 70% sure Stephen Baldwin and him actually get stoned, which is funny. I totally forgot Biodome on the list of Pauly Shore movies. So I guess that would be number 5. I was never a big fan of Biodome. It was pretty stupid.
I thought it was one of those things where it was just like, that was the time we all learned about Stephen Baldwin.
Like, oh, that's true. Everyone was like, oh, Alec has a brother.
Yeah, he has many brothers. And then I think Stephen Baldwin did The Usual Suspects, which was like the opposite of that.
Yeah, he actually is killer in that movie.
Yeah,
which is, we shouldn't even be talking about The Usual Suspects on this podcast.
It's a great really movie, yeah. Movie. But and we think about that because that's like the sign of a good actor. He could play multiple people. On the flip side, Pauly Shore plays the same fucking person every single time we see him.
I'd almost prefer if they had if it was like the Pauly Shore universe, like he is the same character in every movie. That would make more sense. Like, the only character that he's not really overly Pauly Shore is Jury Duty, and that's because he's trying to get away from the MTV personality, so he's got shorter hair, but he still says things like grind. I'm pretty sure he says not grindage. No, but he still uses like the over the top body, talking like that.
I mean, I think that's what sold him. There was like a producer working at Disney who was like, we need to put him in the Goofy movie. Like, we need to make him the best friend who eats
Leaning Tower of Cheez-It.
Yeah, the cheese out of the can, man. But like, one thing I thought was funny in this, in the sense that like, how many people are like quote unquote friends or loyal to Pauly Shore. Not that anybody should be disloyal to him, but something I thought was really interesting was after this movie, in both Son-in-Law and what was it, In the Navy Now? Or was it In the Army Now?
In the Army Now.
Yeah. Brendan Fraser makes cameos as Link.
Mm-hmm. He just stumbles through like the crowds, yeah.
Yeah, like he's in Son-in-Law as like Caveman Link, and then in the Army Now, he's like a cadet with he's like Private Link. Yeah, so I thought that was like kind of a funny, like, oh, that's a throwback to a real poop movie. There you go. Is there anything else that we should thoroughly trash about this movie, or have we kind of covered all our bases?
I have a couple grievances with this movie. I love the scene where they first find Link in the room and he's trying to start a fire from like a broken wood chair, just because like that's probably like varnished wood.
Yeah.
Like the fumes would probably get them really fucked up.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what's funny? If there was any part of this movie where the mom wouldn't be cool, the parents wouldn't be cool, it would be when the mom saw the bathtub after Link got out of it. Oh. Jesus, that didn't look like mud. It looked like he flat out just defecated in the bathtub.
Yeah.
And they looked like they were cleaning him with like Drano and like it looks like they were dabbing Comet underneath his armpits, and like he also had perfect teeth for a caveman.
Yeah. How about the fact that he manages to like dig a pool with a deep end and there's absolutely no sign of a ladder to get in or out of it?
Oh yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's like you gotta walk your way out. Also, he got that pool done really quickly. It went from completely unfinished to just... Also, was it just... He didn't like pour any concrete in there. I'm pretty sure
there's no liner. This is literally like a Crocodile Dundee like do-it-yourself project, so yeah.
Oh, so gnarly.
Yeah,
and also the concept of just ditching him on the side of the road with a couple quarters and a skateboard and being like, you're free now. Yeah. I don't know, so shitty. Like at that point, take him to the museum.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You have like the discovery of a lifetime, and I love how they're just like, the movie ends with like, well, and then he probably got laid on prom night. And now he lives in California.
It's a perfect movie. It's a movie that has to end at that moment, because as soon as you talk about the day after, that's when things. So what are you guys gonna do? Like, and that movie perfectly works in California, because if anybody can just like grunt and like, you know, hang 10 and walk their way through life, it'd be a caveman who's just like.
You know what my favorite fan theory is what actually happens to merge two movies together is that Link goes on to be the dude in The Big Lebowski. If you put that together, it just becomes like you watch The Big Lebowski. Like, you have to be really high to buy into this, but it just makes that movie so much more funny. You know, just like, that's your opinion, man. You know, like,
it's your opinion, man.
You can just totally roll with it. But anyway, Scott, I think we've I think we've thrashed this movie. No disrespect to The Big Lebowski. That's a fantastic movie. We'll come back with something extra trashy for next time. As always, we're always down for suggestions. We thank you guys for listening. We would like to thank our producer, sound guy / sugar daddy, Stu. He's the one sitting here, you know, busting out the Lubriderm for us when we finish this.
And he's the one copying and pasting and making it look pretty.
Yeah, he does all that work for us. So thank you very much, Stu, and thank you guys for listening. I think this is how we're gonna wrap up yet another one. We should close out with like a Pauly Shore sound.
We should do it at IU, okay?
And IU?
Yeah, like
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you next time on Cinema Smackdown.
Buddy.
Buddy.